How long does it take for your company to activate a new customer? Nuvo helps LBM suppliers get customers ready to buy on house accounts in minutes, not weeks, not days. With instant verifications, streamlined job sheets, and real-time credit insights, your team can start loading trucks while your competitors are still checking references. Check out Nuvo. Reach out to the team at nuvo.com, that's nuvo.com, to learn more. Hey there, I'm Thea Dudley, also known as the Credit Overlord, and welcome to LBM Talks Credit. We are the only podcast that talks trade credit in the lumber and building material space. Never miss an episode, stay tuned, and we're glad you're here. Hey, welcome to LBM Talks Credit. We're diving into a topic today that hits us every fall, kind of like a pumpkin spiced freight train. It's conference season. With me is Ann Westby from Credit Management Association, and we're going to dive right in. You all know what I'm talking about. Kids are back in school, mornings are crisp, and suddenly your calendar is packed with trade shows, conferences, fall markets, and every time you turn around, you're at a new conference. And I like to call it trade show season part 1, which is in the fall, followed by trade show and conference season part 2, which happens just about the spring. But here's one thing. If you don't have a strategy, this season will chew you up and spit you out like a stale granola bar at a booth that nobody asked for. So Ann, I know you know a lot about conferences because you plan the Credit Management Associations, not only their in-person conferences, but you guys also do a really fun construction virtual conference, which we're going to talk about more later because I am fascinated by that and have been forever. So welcome.
Well, thank you for the invitation today, Thea. I'm excited to dive into this topic and share any of the strategies that I might have.
Well, I know that you've attended and put on more conferences than most of us will ever, see or go to. Do you have a personal conference season strategy? How do you decide which events are worth your time and what's not?
Well, I will tell you that I do review each of the conferences to see what the topics are, who's going to be there, if there's a speaker that I'm just dying to see. Those are the ones that I'm interested in, and then I review those sessions. Those topics, if I can take them back to the office or take them back to our members, those are the ones that are going to be top priority for me, for my members or for my personal growth, anything that I can use on a day-to-day.
So when you go to a conference, and I want to talk about the return on investment, because one of the things I hear from credit people is, yeah, I'd love to go to a conference, but our CFO or my boss or whoever said no. And it's like, how do you convince your, whoever you have to go, hey, we need to invest our dollars here. Here's what I'm getting out of it. What metrics do you use? Or what moments make you say, oh my gosh, this was a win. This is so great. I absolutely went to this one and I got a lot out of it.
Well, it's a lot of the reviewing beforehand and all the way up until the actual conference takes place that morning of. I want to be looking at who's coming, who I'm going to meet up with. A lot of times the conferences that I go to is they're going to have topics that I need and my members need. And not to mention, I'm going to meet my members there too. So that's going to give me the benefit of both worlds. I'm going to strengthen those relationships, see what they need, as well as absorb everything I can from those conferences. When I'm talking to my boss and I want to say, hey, this is what I'm seeing that we can use. Our members are talking about this and they have an expert here. So this is going to be beneficial. I want to make sure that I'm really selling it to the boss, the benefits to the boss, if you will.
I do understand that, and we've all been to conferences where you read them and you thought, God, this sounds amazing. And then you get there and you're like, okay, this flatlined, this just got me nowhere. How do you handle the ones that didn't deliver when you go back and your boss says, how was it? And you're like, meh.
I always take something away. If it's one that doesn't necessarily hit the nail on the head for me, I'm always saying, well, I had a really great opportunity to sit in the room and catch up on everything I wasn't able to before. I'm taking the information back with me to reassess and saying, all right, that was a great opportunity, but maybe next year we'll try something new. I want to take something back. So if it's something that just didn't didn't hit right, then I'm going to find a positive out of it and make sure that something is being completed, something is done from that experience.
Now, you talked in the beginning about prepping, and I think I agree with you. I think that's so important. When I first started going to conferences, I was just happy to go. I'm like, I'm going to a conference.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, let me see, who's speaking, what are the topics, and then who also is attending. Is there people that I want to meet? And if there's somebody that I do want to meet or connect with, is it possible to, hey, how can I preset a meeting? I just don't want to ambush someone and go, hey, we're going to the same conference. I'm going to stalk you. But to be able to connect with them and figure out, okay, how do I get the most bang for my buck? Is this really like the best use of my time? And then going into connecting with those people.
Absolutely. It's very important. So I will tell you that we had a president here and we would prep together. We would get on our Zoom or our Teams call and we'd have the agenda in front of us and we go, okay, so this session is this time, but this one's this time. Which one do you want? And which one do you want me to go to? And then afterwards we would collaborate and share that information. We would like divide and conquer. Same with our members when we're pre-setting those meetings. I will often email and say, hey, I noticed you're going to the same conference. I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee and kind of chat. Maybe not have an intention, just to meet up kind of thing and kind of go from there. Build that relationship, if you will.
No, I love that. It's all about the pre-stock. I know we've been at conferences together that I knew you were putting on, and I'm like, hey, I want to meet this person. Can you help, can you introduce me to this person? And, I don't want to take up 2 days of their time. I just want to be able to meet them and have that connection.
Well, and that's a way to crack that shell, so you're not bombarding them and, like you had said before. But I will tell you, I don't think there's a problem with that. I like to read the name badges and go, oh my gosh, I wanted to meet her. So the bigger the name badge, the better. So I don't look crazy looking at him. But I'll say, hey, I saw you were here and I wanted to meet you. I'll just shake their hand and say, hey. I kind of do bombard. I think it's okay.
Well, I love when conferences give you like something you can stick on yourself instead of the lanyard, because there is nothing worse than walking around looking at somebody's navel trying to read who they are, and you're like, I'm not being rude. I want to meet your eyes, but I'm trying to figure out, sometimes people look familiar or you forget a name and you're trying not to be rude and you're like, can I just have it right here where it doesn't look quite so awkward? So I love when conferences think of that, but that's just a personal, wish list pet peeve. I do think that when people go to conferences, and I was guilty of this early in my career, is that I didn't identify who I wanted to connect with. I wasn't really open. If somebody connected with me, great. But if they didn't, okay, oh well. And I tended to make a lot of rookie mistakes. And I see people that are at conferences all the time that I'm like, you should know better. You've been going to conferences since, Noah rolled up with the ark and the animals came out 2 by 2, and you're still sitting with the same people you came with. You're sitting with people at your company, maybe because, yes, I know you like them. It's comfortable. You're catching up, but you're not connecting and growing and networking, or they go there and they miss every single session. And it's like, I didn't learn anything. I was up in my room fielding phone calls. It's like, well, then why did you come?
Mm-hmm. No, you have to make the best of that. And I think I'm guilty of making those rookie mistakes as well. I would sit there and just kind of be like, all right, I'm going to listen, but I kind of want to talk to them, but I'm not sure if I should. Do it. Jump out. Who cares? You're going to meet these people and it's going to be a lifelong relationship that you can use on the business side and on the personal sometimes, that becomes a friend or a colleague. I think it's important to talk to the people around you and try not to sit, like you said, with your safety crew. I challenge my team to, at our conferences, go sit in the middle of someone you've never met before. And then they come out and they're like, man, that was really an awesome person. And like our sponsors, our speakers, I encourage them to sit with our members as well, because if they're sitting in a session and they have questions from that session, what do you do first? You turn to the person next to you, and if it's somebody that's got a solution, bam, right there. So I think
Yeah.
it's important when you go to those conferences to sit in a different place, not with the same people. I love to meet new people, so that's really a great opportunity to do so.
Well, and it's hard because I'm guilty of that. You're like, oh my gosh, I only get to see you once or twice a year. I'm so excited to hang out with you. And you sit down together and then you find yourself, chit chatting away and you realize, okay, now we're caught up. But I could have caught up with you at the cocktail hour, or I could have, made a dinner with you somewhere. But instead, you take up all that time, and I'm guilty of having to make sure I keep putting that in front of me. Where go out and sit down with a group of people you don't know. Find out what sessions you want to really focus in on so that when you come back, if you're leading a team or if you send somebody there, it's like, hey, come in and teach us what you learned. You don't have to be an expert on it, but you can at least give a quick, down overview of, hey, here's what the sessions I got the most out of. Here's what they were about. Here were the big high points of them. And if it's something that you're like, wow, I'd like the team to be able to dive into that. I've contacted the associations before and said, would you consider doing this for like a one-off? Would you consider doing it virtually for us?
Absolutely. Those are I love when I do have one friend that I always meet up at all the same conferences, and we'll get our chit chat out and catch up. And then we're like, okay, so who do you want to meet? And she'll say, I want to meet this person. So we'll kind of introduce each other. A lot of times she's able to introduce me to some speakers that are doing the sessions, which I think is great. It's almost like you're meeting a celebrity. You're like, whoa, you were speaking. Can I have more of that? So that's always fun too. If you have that one person that you always meet, make sure your goals align and kind of help each other out in that way.
Well, so let's talk about the virtual conference because I think that's such a new venue to do stuff. And especially when you have a multi-day, like I think your construction virtual conference I think it goes over 4 days, if I remember right. And it's from like 10 to 2, and you have little breaks where you can break out into like the break session room. And I think it's so new that people aren't almost sure what to do with it. You're like, do I sit in this chat room? Do I say something? I don't want to look like a dork. I don't want to say something, to embarrass myself. It's like, okay, say all of the same things that you have about in person. It just seems like the stakes are higher when it's virtual because you're not right there to, maybe smooth it over a little bit.
Absolutely. I always thought it's got to be kind of awkward to sit in those like coffee virtual sessions, but really that's where your opportunity to network is, or to learn about another colleague or attendee. Our virtual conference was set because of good old COVID. So we kind of changed things. It used to be in person, but again, attendance kind of dwindled, and then COVID hit and we just started doing virtual. 4 days, but you're getting 35 plus sessions over the 4 days. And we run 2 tracks. So if you're stuck and you're like, I got to go to this session, but I can't attend that one, what's really cool is you're getting the recordings afterwards. So you're getting every session. We like to make sure that we're touching on business credit as well as those lean specific sessions, so that credit professional can get the most out of that and still have the breaks to do their day-to-day business too. Because when you're away at a conference, sometimes you can't address those things that need to be taken care of or approve credit. You've got to make sure that you can do that day-to-day as well, and it doesn't take you away from that. So there's some pros and cons to virtual. You don't get that in person, but that's why we try to do those little coffee sessions and get those professionals together.
Well, I know that what I loved about it too was that you're able to kind of justify, hey, I have a whole team. I have 6 people, but I can't have 6 people out of the office. I can't, the cost to send 6 people. Not that I don't think conferences are valuable, but right now when you've got everybody is very cost aware, and you're got like your folks that were within 5 years of retirement, and then you've got your folks that you're trying to bring on board, and you're trying to get that good blend. It's how do I get everybody out the door to these? A virtual session is a great solution for it. You're able to sit there and go, okay, I can either have everybody in the same room, I can put them on headsets in front of their own computer, they can be working across the country, and we're all still getting the same content, we're all still getting the same information, and I'm able to make that happen for them. It just is, Now, if you're a tchotchke person, it kind of stinks because you're not able to bring home a suitcase full of, bouncy light up balls or pens. But while we're talking about that, I would like to put out a plea to the vendors when we go to conferences. Please, 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 can we retire the stress balls and the pens? I don't know anyone that's saying, ooh, I got to go get me a stress ball. Unless it's hard enough that I can huck it at somebody and like impact them like I'm throwing a lime or something with a little oomph behind it, it doesn't help me at all. If you really want to if you really want to come up with some good things, anything that helps me clean my phone or any of those things, something that's much more practical, or just like give me better pricing. I don't need a toy. Yeah, I'm fully grown.
You mean you're not collecting stress balls?
I am, well, I'm collecting some things, but they're not stress balls.
No, I would have to agree with you on that one. Those vendors that really stand out is when they have something different, something you haven't seen, or
Yep.
something that you can use on a day to day. I love the luggage tags right now, or anything that charges anything. We always
Yeah.
need those, the power banks. But you're right. Sometimes the stress balls and the pens are just not where it's at. I love the point that you made. Give me better pricing. Who doesn't want better pricing?
Save your tchotchkes. I'm cool. But I understand, it's like, just give me something clever or useful, or for God's sakes, make it chocolate.
Ooh,
I
there
can
you
deal with that
go.
too.
Chocolate's always good.
So I do think though that's too, is I want to see who the vendors are there. And then I want to, because I think vendors at conferences get really shortchanged. And they're a lot of the reasons we're able to have conferences because someone's got to pay for them, the bulk of it. But like when I look at vendors, a lot of times how I used to look at it is I would go in and say, oh, I already have all of this. I just don't want these pariahs on me. Just please back off. And as I moved up the food chain in my credit roles, it became more and more important to me to, okay, I need to have a backup for this, or hey, I need to hear what they have to say because maybe what I set up 10 years ago is not crushing it today. Or, maybe there's somebody that can give me better pricing, better service, better information. I hate to say that, what did a vendor do to lose my business? But that's really how I look at it. I'm not looking to replace somebody that is doing a great job in helping me keep up on what's going on. But I don't know what I don't know until it's there in front of me. So if I'm standing in front of a vendor and they're saying, well, we can do this, this, and this, and here's what, our tech can do or our services. Well, I wouldn't have known any of that if I'm like, well, I'm with so and so and they've been really awesome. And it's like, well, maybe they have been awesome, but they haven't kept up.
Right. Well, and our vendors, sponsors are all just like technology. Things are changing, so are their services. So I think it's important for us to take the time and say, oh, they've got something new, or oh, maybe this would be a better solution. So I think you're right. They don't get enough credit for what they're doing. So I think it's an important place to kind of acknowledge them and to hear what they're sharing, and to know that they're just trying to help better the profession as well.
Well, and I think having that connection where it's like, hey, I might not need a new collection agency right now, but I need to have somebody or somebodies in my back pocket just in case. And it's just like we talked about pre-stocking and meeting people, it's like, hey, I want to meet, I want to have a connection at this company. They're in my area. I might be able to use them for a trade reference if I need to make a phone call or something. I have those connections. But when we talk about pre-stocking, I want to kind of have why do I want to meet this person? Is it just because it's like, hey, I've seen the name a lot, or I really want to be connected with someone at this company because they are in my same area, my same geographic area of delivery. What's there? What do I want out of the meeting? Is it just to build up my portfolio? I want, that connection type of thing, but what do I want out of this?
Absolutely. I like the pre-stalking too. And sometimes it is just as simple as I have seen that name everywhere and I just need to know more.
Well, it's like, you kind of look at certain things and it's, hey, I like how you conduct yourself. I like how you go about things. I want to know you better. So maybe I can, pick your brain on some things and help update my style of doing things or incorporate that into some of the ways I go about doing business.
I definitely think that I have preconceived notions sometimes when I'm going to meet them and I'm like, oh, this is just going to be a sales pitch, but really, they've got a lot of information that I didn't know I needed at the time.
I'm the worst. I'm so damn judgy. I'll see someone, I'm like, oh, they look like they're going to be really fun. And then you meet them, and you're like, oh my gosh, you are amazing. You're witty, you're knowledgeable. I so want to hang out with you and just, soak up every bit of wisdom that I possibly
Mhm.
can. So, I know that conference season is an investment and deciding which ones you're going to, when you're going to be out. It's time, money, it's energy. Everyone always focuses on the money part of it, but there's a lot of other bits to it. I think the biggest part, at least for me, is being intentional with what I'm doing, where I'm going, why I'm going there, who's speaking, what are the. Sometimes I don't even care who's speaking. It's what is the topic,
Mhm.
and usually the name of a session grabs me before the topic does. I'm like, that sounds intriguing as I'll get out, where it kind of, because there's only so many ways you can say, we're going to talk about lien law and make it sound sexy and engaging.
So true. I will say that that's something that I think catches my attention as well as everyone else's, and that's my weakness is session titles. So when I hear a good one, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm missing that. I
Yeah,
gotta
I'm
know what
going
it's
to
all
that.
about.
They could be talking about how to win a cockroach race, and I'm like, but it sounded so cool.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm all in.
So yeah, I think we have topics as credit managers that are not the most, I think people don't think they're quite the most fascinating things on the planet. And some of them haven't changed, like collections, the actual job itself hasn't changed, but how we do it and some of the approaches and to keep from getting stale. I'll sit next to someone and they'll drop like a little, knowledge bomb. I'm like, you are the smartest person I know. I am using that. That was collection gold right there. I'm going to so use that.
Oh yeah, there's so many different little tidbits that or taglines. Those are the ones I love. I'm guilty. I'll say I'm using that. That is totally
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh,
I'm
I'll
going
tell
to
them
use
total
that.
ownership.
Yeah.
So, well, and if people need to get a hold of you or want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Well, you can contact me via email on our website, creditmanagement.org. Has my email, my direct email, my direct line. You can contact me there. You can always get me on my phone number, which is 702-903-2643. I'm happy to see anybody and talk to anybody.
We're going to have that linked in the information below. I usually tell people, don't give out your phone number here. And
Oh,
Ann's like, take mine.
I don't care. Edit it if you need to.
No, take it. We're going to take it. And I really appreciate you, sharing your strategy for conferences, how you pick them, how you go about them, and even like, look, here's what the ROI is. Here's why it's important for us to continue to have that connection and to have those meetings and to grab that knowledge. And here's what it means to the company.
Oh, I want to thank you. I appreciate the invitation to come and share and to collaborate with the Credit Overlord. This has been fun, and I hope to do it again.
Oh, and you can come back anytime you want. And before we go, big shout out to our sponsor, Nuvo, the platform that makes credit management feel less like a spreadsheet and more like a strategy, helping you make a difference in getting your customers onboarded. And we are so grateful that you were here today. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining us again. And until next time, keep your terms tight and your tone cheeky, and we will talk to you again.